It is great to see everyone back here again tonight, and I am happy to welcome you to the Rudman Center at the UNH Franklin Pierce School of Law. We are named for Senator Warren Rudman, who is widely admired for his integrity and willingness to work across the aisle to advance the public interest. We build on his legacy by providing financial and experiential support to students pursuing public service, and we serve as a hub for public discourse around the pressing issues facing our democracy. This event is in partnership with the World Affairs Council of New Hampshire and the Carsey School of Public Policy at the University of New Hampshire. The Carsey School is nationally recognized for research, policy education, including 4 master's programs, and bringing people together for thoughtful dialogue to address important societal challenges. You can see why it's a natural partnership for the event today. So some housekeeping, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already, and should you need them, there are several bathrooms down the hall that way. To submit questions, please scan the QR codes displayed around the room, or you can write a question on a note card, and if you lift it up, Michelle Holt-Shannon, who is here from Carsey, will be glad to collect it for you. Lastly, a reminder that we are all sharing space to hear from the candidate in a civil but challenging conversation, so please, no interruptions, but there will be time at the end of the evening for more conversation with the candidate. Lastly, this event is being recorded and covered by the press as a public forum, and that does include your participation. And now, I'm happy to introduce tonight's moderator, Tim Horgan, and the candidate, Lily Tang Williams.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us here tonight in person, and for those who have joined us online as well. For either in-person or live viewing or the recording. We really appreciate you taking the interest in these forums. Of course, my name is Tim Horgan. I am the Executive Director of the World Affairs Council of New Hampshire, a nonpartisan nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping people better understand the world. So we're so excited to have the opportunity to host our second evening of candidate forums on foreign policy, national security, and international law. So we're happy to welcome Lily Tang Williams, the Republican candidate, here tonight for this conversation. I like to keep the introductions short because you can go and read about Lily's background on her campaign website or our website as well. But Lily was born in China, first came to the United States in 1988, and as we were just recently talking, was in Hong Kong, back in Hong Kong for a couple of years, and got to see the handover from the British to the Chinese government. So something that has really influenced your thinking on the world, I think, and I'm really excited to get involved and interested and hear from you about how you view the United States' role in the world and what you see as some of the critical issues that we're facing today. So our first question for you is simply, how do you view America's role in the world? What do you think the important and critical things people need to know about, and how should we or should we not be engaged in the world?
Well, thank you for hosting this, and thank you all for coming here. And I really appreciate the opportunities. I think this might be my first foreign policy forum, actually. To tell you a true story, when I was a little girl in China, I wanted to see the world so bad because I was trapped in China and I read novels and I wanted to see the world. And the only thing I could think of, I could get out of China, is by playing ping pong, maybe become national team, But I did not have any talent, so I did not even make to the high school ping pong team. And here I am, as a nominee for Republican for Congress. Just this country is an exceptional country. And I love this country, and that's why I'm running, because this country is really worth defending for, and we are the shining city on the hill for the people like me all over the world to stand for freedom and for the natural rights of the citizens, and the world peace is depend on our strengths. And we need to project strong leadership in the world. There are lots of countries and lots of evils in this world. And I am a human rights activist. I have been, and call out the communist China's human rights abuses. I have lots of Chinese friends who are very active in this country. They might be from Hong Kong or even from other, places, but they are advocating for the people inside of China who are going through some horrible human rights abuses, and the world has been not able to even see the truth because they control the media and the press, so you don't know what's really going inside China. But I do because I have family, friends there. I speak Mandarin. I can talk to anybody I want to, of course, privately, not publicly, to know that I feel like I have a mission here. I'm sometimes speaking for the people who don't have voices, and because of censorship, because of the human rights abuses. And I want our country, that's why, to have open conversations and debate like this. Because I was censored, could not speak my mind for 24 years inside China. And I see the United States as really the exceptional country that no matter where you come from, how poor background you have, what skin color you have, anything is possible in this country if you rely on your hard work and get some education, save money, and invest wisely. You can really live an American dream. So I see myself as embodiment of the American dream. I see United States is the global leader in terms of be that shining city on the hill for the billions actually people in this world.
Okay. So as we look at sort of the world in general, starting with the 10,000-foot view, one of the things that you've spoken about and is in your foreign policy section of your website is the idea about international institutions and that they should not be constraining the United States. So can you talk a little bit more about what that looks like, what you mean, and how you may either envision a reimagining of our relationship with those institutions? And I'm going to go grab my tablet real quick. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, I do have a website, lilytangwilliams.com. If you go to Lily for Congress, under policies, under issues, there are 9 issues. I mentioned it. And one of them is a foreign policy, because when you run for federal offices, this is an important area. You have to talk about it. My philosophies in politics are really rooted in my life experience in China. So that what brought me to this country is the U.S. Founding Fathers document, the Declaration of Independence, and the U.S. Constitution. So my foreign policy, I will call that, you will see on the top, it says peace through strength. We need to try our best to solve the world conflicts and diplomatically and economically and peacefully and cooperation with each other. If we don't have a strength ourselves as a country, then we really cannot project the leadership. So, and we are also a constitutional republic. That means our citizens' rights, individual rights and liberty, constitutional rights, are guaranteed in the Constitution. So we can cooperate with the world, and we want to do free trade and want to through cooperation, the diplomatic relationships. But we are a sovereign country. Other international institutions, we have to build on mutual respect and cooperation, but there's no top-down mandate. And anything unconstitutional, and I see that it has problems when I'm in the Congress, and I will not support it. Because if I'm elected by the people in my district, I will promise them that I will protect their individual rights and liberties. There's a specific, mentioned it in the U.S. Constitution. And but actually, I'm very, very open, and I love all cultures. I love to travel the world. Still have lots of bucket lists, all the places to go. Like you mentioned, Argentina next.
Yeah. Okay, and I needed to grab my tablet because we have a QR code in the room and online for people to submit questions. We do already have a couple coming in, so thank you for those who have already submitted questions. We also have note cards in the room if you would like to write down your question and pass it to Michelle, who has her hand up over there. We will take your questions that way. Just helps us to manage those and make sure we're getting as many of your questions answered as possible. Okay, so you mentioned international conflict and resolving them peacefully. Our two biggest ones, and the one that got the most interest in our last conversation with Maggie Goodlander, was the Israel-Gaza conflict, Israel-Palestine. There is a lot going on. There is a fear of a wider regional war. What are you looking at as the right and proper role of the United States in dealing with this conflict?
Well, it's really unfortunate because I think all wars are terrible. October 7th, an evil attack was horrible. I still wonder why that was not preventable and was not prepared for. And everybody woke up just in shocking, next day. I condemned the attack and immediately, offered that my support for Israel have a right to exist, have a right to defend itself. But most shocking part is that before Israeli military even going after their enemies, Hamas, and gave a few days for civilians to get out, our college campuses and start to go crazy and chanting from the river to the sea. It's like, how do you do any kind of peaceful deals when one side wants another side to be totally dead, eliminated, destroyed? I don't get it. I was very alarmed. It's like, wow. And the students were really very organized and come out. It's almost like they knew exactly what to do when this happened. It's like, how did that happen? And my heart do go to all the people who are involved in this, conflict. The Middle East, we trying to keep a peaceful Middle East under former President Trump, and his Abraham Accords with 5-6 other countries worked pretty well, and until October 7th. And so I think that Israel is our ally in the Middle East and only democracy in the Middle East. I think it is in the U.S. Interest to support them, and but also trying to offer assistance to trying to bring peace deal to the table. But how do you negotiate peace? It's involved countries have to decide on that. We cannot tell Israel what to do and what kind of deal we must have for them to cease fire. But at the same time, we're also trying to show humanitarian support and aid. But when we offer aid, we have to be worried. Does that aid go to the people, innocent people who are suffering, which is normally just the unfortunate results of the wars? But will that foreign aid go to the government who will grab them and do more damages, like hijack the aid? So we have to do that very smartly.
Sure. And one of the biggest contention points and one of the roles of Congress in this conflict is around the support of military weaponry that we can send over. Mm-hmm. As of right now, there is a restriction on the 2,000-pound bombs. Mm-hmm. What is your view on the U.S. support for the Israeli military? Should we be putting restrictions on that support to try and mitigate damage to civilian populations, or should we be giving them all of the weapons that they ask for?
Well, part of to support our ally that Israel is economically very good, strong country. I mean, they can buy the weapons from us, and when it comes to aid to them, how much money we're going to give to them, and because our country is broke, $35 trillion in debt, and the bill supposed to come from the U.S. Senate, then to U.S. House. I have to study and look at the individual bills. Sometimes I found out in Congress lots of details that you don't know about. The bill sounds good, but if you don't read it very carefully or you don't have time to read it, devils are in the details. So I normally cannot tell you exactly what bill I will support or oppose until I really read them and know what's going on. That's what I promised to our people in my district. And, but my principle is clear. If we want to support our allies, including Taiwan, including Israel, they can buy weapons from us. But to tell them what to do, what not to do, I mean, it's like when to end the war, to go, destroy Hamas. Imagine we had the families, like that in Israel, and all of a sudden, you had this nasty, awful attacks, and you don't feel safe. Another side wants you to be dead. It is hard to negotiate any kind of peace deal solutions. But the United States, though, is that kind of global leader. Mm-hmm. So I think our foreign policy is always we're trying to bring peace to the table, bring every side involved. But right now, Israel is on a mission to destroy Hamas, and terrorist groups want to eliminate them before they can sit down to negotiate. So I think that we just cannot tell them what not to do. Mm-hmm. That's where I stand.
Sure. Okay. And this is not the end of the questioning on Israel-Gaza. I'm sure the audience will have questions as well. Mm-hmm. So please, again, do send us your questions as we move throughout the evening tonight. But I'd like to turn to the other major conflict in being Russia-Ukraine. This has been going on for 2.5 years on the most recent invasion, but since 2014 with the initial invasion and the taking of Crimea. A lot of conversations and a lot of interest in the U.S. Congress around whether or not we should continue to provide military aid to Ukraine. If a bill were to come before the U.S. Congress and you are a representative, what is your feeling on U.S. aid to Ukraine at this point in time?
Well, it's really unfortunate. At the beginning, we all condemned Russia's aggression against, Ukraine. And we thought, hey, with our help and maybe the war will end pretty fast. Now this is third year. And I'm still not convinced what is the path to this victory, to our victory, to their victory, and we have already, sent $175 billion to Ukraine. At the same time, how did we pay for it? We borrow and we print on the back of taxpayers. They're paying for high inflation, cost of everything's going up. It's a simple economics 101. When you print lots of money you don't have, spend on things you want to spend on, you drive up inflation. And people who are not wealthy, live on fixed income, working class families, and the small business are hurting. So I like to see the path to victory and also accountability for the money we already sent to Ukraine. And there's no blank checks, and we need to track those. We also need to push for peace deals. If you don't try best to push for peace and continue to ask United States to borrow or print money we don't have to support them, lots of American people said, 90% people on my campaign trail, I ask them all the time. Say, no, we need 1 million here, we need 1 million there for this, that, our people, because they're suffering, they're paying for high inflation. I went to quite a lot of, nonprofits who help with family, with the senior care, with the development disabled and educated by them. And the people tell me, a veteran tell me, 74 years old, Vietnam veteran, cannot afford to retire, still working. He said, I have no $1 to give to you, Lily. And I said, you don't have to give me anything. I feel your pain, 74 years old. So I really like to say that this election is important because I believe that if President Trump goes back to White House, he will bring peace. He will get both of them countries, including NATO, involved to negotiate peace. What is the point to continue to fight this war? How many years are we continue to support Ukraine, called our ally, right? But Ukraine is not a part of NATO, and we have deals with NATO, and the Ukraine is also has lots and lots of people died during this war, with, of course, another side. I like to say that we really try our best to negotiate, bring all parties involved and to the table. I think Zelensky already come to the United States, met with President Trump. Maybe he knows that the big money checks might be gone. Maybe it's time to talk, to work something out. When you negotiate, it's always nobody is happy, but you give and take, right? But you have to negotiate from a point of strength. American taxpayers, it's just hard to convince them continue to pay for this aid to Ukraine, but it's really on their back because we have no money. We borrow money from other countries like China to pay for those kind of excessive spending. Then Chinese government just dumped a whole bunch of U.S. Treasury debt. They say our dollar is going down, devalued. So what is the point for us to borrow money from countries like that and drive down, like our dollar's value, and inflation goes up, our young people cannot afford the rent to buy? I mean, that's something I'm more concerned with. But internationally, I'm not advocating for U.S. just withdraw and isolation. No, we need to act like a so-called a leadership company, like a country, to bring people together to negotiate. I'm sure there are lots of strengths we can pull because we are the largest economy in the world, and we do stand for freedom, and we want to call out the aggression, the bullies in the global stage. But how do you do that? You have to be strong yourself. I think the world's on fire. It's because of failed Biden-Harris foreign policies for the past 3.5 years. And actually, Maggie's husband, Jake Sullivan, is a part of that. And he is a part of a failed policy of Biden-Harris. How is he going to ask people to support the same status quo when you say the world's on fire and the global conflicts everywhere because they say we have absent weight leadership in White House right now? So I'm hoping that we can change that.
Sure. So one of the things that we are asking about in terms of this, we are at a law school. There is established international law, and we see President Putin being accused of genocide, war crimes, and other horrible, terrible things. Is this something that you think the U.S. should be pushing forward, or should there be some sort of negotiation around whether or not those charges move forward at the International Criminal Court, the Court of World Justice? We're actually doing a diplomacy simulation at Bedford High School this week on the Darfur genocide in 2009, and this is one of the things that the students are grappling with as well, is how do we push forward on holding people accountable for the horrible, terrible things that they're doing while negotiating around the key issues to bring peace to the world?
Well, international law, international code, I'm sure that I have to get into all the regulations and what is the current law. And as I said, we condemn their aggression. And, we normally feel, the bad guys when they took something like that and hurt people. But we have to be aware. And remember, Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu said, 知己知彼，百战不胜. That means keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. So you know what they're up to. What do they want? So that's how you bring them to the table to negotiate. What does Putin want? And why can't they leave Ukraine alone? So let's talk. That's why you have to engage with your enemies. When people attack Trump to say, oh, he went to North Korea, he's calling Xi Jinping his friend, this or that. It's a part of strategy to sometimes butter up your opposition a little bit to make them feel like, oh, they can have a conversation with you. But it's really to figure out, what do you want? I need to keep you close. I need to know your agenda so I can come up with the right strategies to counter you. Because our goal should be always contain our enemies and deter the war. I don't want to fight endless wars. Most people don't. Most people in the world want to be left alone by the government to live in peace and prosperity and take care of their families. So that's the engagement part. You engage with him. I mean, he was going to North Korea, crossed the line. He was nominated for Nobel Prize 3 times. And his Abraham Accords was great. Right before October 7th, Israel was very close to reach peace deal with Saudi Arabia. That would be great, right? And they're still talking, but boom, Hamas did this. You know why Hamas had the money to do this? Iran is behind Hamas. And who gave Iran billions of dollars back and led them to lift the economic sanctions, to sell hundreds of billions of dollars oil to China, get lots of cash? Thanks to Biden and Harris administration, Jake Sullivan, all those people involved, even Obama, that the appeasement policy does not work. When Trump was president, Iran was very poor. They were running, and we hold their money. We had sanctions on them, economic sanctions on them, but to appease them, to negotiate an Iran nuclear deal, look at what's going on today. Iran is a friend with China, with Russia. It's behind all the terrorist groups in the world. And we empower them because we had a better leadership in the past 3.5 years.
So just a point of clarification, the Iran nuclear deal was under President Obama, not under President Biden.
It started under Obama, but nailed down though,
Yeah, and the sanctions that Trump put in place, many of them do remain today. Just wanted to make that clarification.
How did they sell more oil now to all over the, more sell China? I think there's some sanctions were just not enforced or something.
And there are ways around sanctions, and we have a great podcast on sanctions on our Drinks and Diplomacy podcast, which I would recommend anyone checking out who wants to dive deeper into these things.
Sounds like fun, drinks and podcast.
Yeah. So speaking of China, many people equate the war in Ukraine to a potential invasion of Taiwan. It's something that Xi Jinping has said that he would like to, not an invasion, but he would like to reunify by 2027. Do you see a connection between U.S. response and larger NATO response to the war in Ukraine, to sending any messages or signals to China about our commitment to the status quo, we'll call it, in terms of the cross-Taiwanese Strait relations?
I'm not convinced that there is a necessary connection. If we don't help Ukraine to win this war, then China is going to be very happy and then take Taiwan. I'm not convinced that's a necessary connection. We should blame ourselves. Our own foreign policies, our own policy regarding China, it's disaster. Because we are relying on China for supplies, and the people start to decouple now after pandemic. But our Green New Deal, all those federal policies and mandates rely on China for solar panels, batteries, electric vehicles. And guess what? All those companies who sell us stuff, trying to build a battery factory in Michigan, they are China's state enterprises. Chinese government enterprises make money from us, from the ideological war. It's like, oh, Green New Deal, taxpayers' money. Then use that to build their military, to threat Taiwan. And they already took over Hong Kong. And we did not do anything. And Europe, UK did not do anything. It's very sad to say, because I love Hong Kong. I lived there for 2 years. I saw the hangover. And then we allow Chinese nationals come here through our open borders. How many spies do we have in this country now? Who knows? Many years ago was 30,000 spies in our country. Now there are over 600,000 Chinese spies all over in Western countries. Wonder why Western countries are going crazy. They're almost like, if you dare to say anything anti-China, you get the Chinese people in their own country to start protest, to start pressure you. And the China initiative, which is under Trump, that means get rid of Chinese economic espillages. And because it's racist, according to the Democrats' new White House, they got rid of China initiatives. Anything to do with minorities, they accuse that to be racist. Everything is racist. It's not rational. Chinese government is spying on us, and they have lots of pro-CCP people in our country, in our universities, in our corporations, in our big tech. And there are lots of businessmen doing business with China, and lots of nonprofits doing that, including the vice president who is running for vice president, Tim Walz, went to China with lots of students, do student exchange. You think that if he was not pro-CCP, they will allow him to take students to China, approve him to get a visa, and to get the free food and housing and lodging? Our policies against China to contain them, to deter the war against Taiwan, is outdated, and it's not working. And nobody is running for U.S. Congress now. Somebody like me, who grew up in China, who can help our country to deal with them, to deal with the Politburo, Xi Jinping. Remember, only 7 Chinese men control entire China. 1.4 billion people. And Chinese people are their biggest victims. We need to speak for them. We need to push for free internet access. But at the same time, we rely on China. We don't call out the China's human rights abuses and cultural genocide in Xinjiang Uyghur places. And the Falun Gong, inhuman organ harvesting. Lots of black prisoners are inside the Chinese prisons. So we remember China's economy is 10 times bigger than Russia's. It's the second largest economy. So who should we pay more attention to? What China is doing? What is Xi Jinping's China dream? Belt and Road initiatives. They are taking over the Africa, even Caribbean islands. By setting up a debt trap, you will give you money, lend you foreign government money, and you're going to build your infrastructure. We help you. If you cannot pay back the debt with loans, we're going to take over your infrastructure. Xi Jinping is not like Chairman Mao. Chairman Mao was very, very self-isolating. Shut down the China's door. Nobody knows. Like 40, 50 million people starving to death by his central planning economical policies during the Great Famine. Xi Jinping learned that. Xi Jinping, CCP, saw what happened in former Soviet Union. Berlin Wall fall down. We thought, hey, we celebrate, communism is gone. No, China is the biggest totalitarian country today in the world. By the way, I cannot go to China because I'm on their blacklist. Talking like this, are you kidding me? I would be afraid to go to China. But at the same time, I advocate for Chinese people, which I love. I hate the government, but I love Chinese people. I love Hong Kong people and Taiwan people. We're all Chinese. We all want peace. When we talk about war with Taiwan, fighting China, have we tried other means to even contain China, deter the war? No, we have not. We give them money. We let them come here. We call everything against them as racist. Confucius Institute was in our country for 15 years, was on the campus of UNH. Just recently got shut down. They were funded by Chinese government to come here to make China look glorious and wonderful and brainwash our students to believe in them. It's a trap. It's a part of a government program called the United Front to infiltrate into our society. But we don't have a counter-strike. And we just recently found out New York governor hired Chinese spy, double agents working in her office. They are interfering with our elections right now. Okay, I got a death threat 2 years ago, and they constantly come to my social media to say, shut up, don't vote for this lady, she's a double agent. Those people think our voters, American citizens, are stupid. You're gonna just buy into whatever they tell you, right? No, of course not. So I just ban them, I just ignore them and tell people, do your own research. So I think my policy is that we need to not to push other countries further closer to China, because China is our largest adversary. Of course, I want to engage in China. I'll be perfect one to engage in them because I speak the native language and know the culture. And trying to work on some common ground, firm, principled, but at the same time engaging them to contain their growth and decouple from them and deter the war. I want to deter the war. I don't want Xi Jinping be pushed into corner, jump like a dog. You push him into corner, dog will jump over the wall. You don't know what he's going to do against the little Taiwan island. And Taiwanese people don't want the war. Chinese people don't want the war. Americans should not want the war. What are we going to do? We need to have smart, sensible foreign policies in our country. And that's where I think I can really contribute that.
And we have a question from a UNH Law student asking about what do you think is working well in U.S.-China relations currently, and you've spoken quite a bit about what's going poorly right now, but do you see anything as going well between U.S. and China relations?
We were so excited when China joined the World Trade Organization. We thought China will become one of us, more democratic. Maybe people will start to have two-party system to vote, because Chinese people cannot vote today. But the thing is, it's not reliable. Whenever you change leader, that's what happens when you have one-party dictatorship. If you have just like a Chinese emperor system, when you get a wise, merciful emperor, and then you have peace and prosperity. You don't starve to death, there's no war. But you get a crazy cult personality like Xi Jinping, who wants to be emperor himself, or Liu Mao, then Chinese people suffer. Their economy is not good today. The unemployment for young people, they don't tell you the truth. It's as high as 26%. And you have senior citizens who lose their retirement income and not enough to live on. They have to go work, pick up trash. The suicide rate now among Chinese senior citizens is very high. So their economy is weak. But at the same time, China is spending lots of money, 6.8% of their GDP on defense, build their military. I'm worried about that. And they constantly bully other countries. You must cut ties with Taiwan, or we're not going to do anything with you. They did that with other countries. And they constantly bully Taiwan to say, you got to do this or that. So my policy is like, okay, we're going to honor the one China policy, ambiguous, but sometimes you don't have to be black and white. If you want to maintain status quo, that's a part of contain China deters the war. Then hopefully, gradually, that maybe China leadership will change, and the things will turn around. They will go back to economic reform again. Everybody is happy to make money. Who does not want to be capitalist, to become more rich? In China, everybody wants to, but it's crazy government prevent them to. Xi Jinping wants to grow more and more state enterprises. He wants more and more socialism. He said socialism is glorious, but at the same time, he spent tons of money overseas. United Front in Western countries, Belt and Road Initiative, foreign debt trap, and then also through social media influencers, not just TikTok anymore. It's like they hired even the people don't look like Chinese to work for them as a social media influencers. If you see some podcasters all look like your team, but say how wonderful China is, just be aware they're paid by Chinese government.
Well, unfortunately, they are not funding my podcast at this point. So you answered my question about strategic ambiguity, so I'm going to move to R. Sutton's question. Ms. Williams, if elected, how would you help strengthen U.S. international ties in the South China Sea? Will you seek to move more funding towards the Quad?
Well, we do need to have a very strong relationship with other smaller countries surrounding China. And we also need to really get involved in Africa. We cannot just give up Africa. We give lots of money to foreign aids, but we're not actually become their friends, help them build their economy. At the same time, say when you do trade with those countries, it's not like, hey, everybody's happy, but at the same time, they learn about us. They learn about human rights and freedom and democracy and free market capitalism. Everybody get richer and nobody wants to fight the war. It would be lovely and wonderful. So I think Japan already said they want to defend Taiwan if China invades Taiwan. Then you have South Korea, and you have Singapore, Philippines, and even as far as India, we all should have trying to make friends with those countries. And India right now is part of BRICS, which China is the number one. And China is trying to promote their renminbi, which is yuan, renminbi, to be the world reserve currency. And the petrodollar is gone. We had a horrible relationship with Saudi Arabia under Biden and Harris. And so they decided that we're not going to even, to do petrodollar anymore. It's very sad to say that, because Saudi Arabia is a great counterpart or ally for us in that region. That region is crazy. I have to study that since I come to this country. It's like how many years they've been fighting each other in there? It's like lots of years. Yep. So I'm still learning, and I learned about the Holocaust. I was crying. I watched the movie, Schindler's List. I just cannot believe when I was in China struggling and what's going on in other parts of the world. So I think that we need really to fundamentally to have a better, smarter, sensible, and foreign policies, and not continue to pick sides, but really trying to promote maximum diplomatic relationships, economical trade. If China is our number one target, then why can't we have a free trade with all the other countries near China to build very strong relationships? And we have to decouple from China. If we rely on China, include our military equipment, right? Oh, China is cheap. Let's all buy from China because through decades of economic reforms, China has built a huge manufacturing bases, factories for lots of products. They supply our EVs, batteries, and solar panels, and vitamins. And now, fentanyl materials go to Mexico coming from southern border, hurt our citizens. I'm sure we'll get to border issues. Yep. It's nuts. And so I think we really need to continue to involve in that region, and even with other continents,
Sure. Okay. We have a question from an anonymous person. Do you support a ban on TikTok app in the U.S., given the security concerns and Chinese influence? And I'd like to add to that question, where is the balance point on social media between regulating the conversation to avoid foreign influence and election interference and things of that nature versus the right to free speech?
This is a CCP strategy, soft power. Their soft power is their app. We have quite a few apps in our country owned by Chinese companies, not just TikTok, but WeChat is the biggest one for all overseas Chinese to use, okay? And my friends are very quiet there because, they're afraid. They say something. And I had a law school class group in Shanghai with 60 people with some teachers. All of a sudden, we got banned, so we could not to see each other post anymore. We even don't understand why. I did not say anything not politically correct because I knew. But I don't know who did it. They probably did it because those are smart people I went to law school with in Shanghai. And you have WeChat, you have TikTok, you have Tmall. Tmall is an app you can order cheap Chinese factory products and buy really cheap, then ship to you. And who else? Chinese universities do produce lots of engineers, software developers. Our university are focused on social engineering, social issues, and social justice warriors. And their university produce lots of engineers and the STEM. You have to give the Chinese kids credit. They study really hard. They're very competitive. And our kids, after $90 billion a year Department of Education spending, and test scores going down, and they cannot take those competitive, high-paying jobs. It's like this country got some serious issues. So I supported that we need to really mind about, label them as foreign apps, and sometimes as foreign agents. For example, CCTV. Why is Beijing's central television TV station is showing to all the Chinese Americans in our country? Why? They're watching that every day. They don't watch other, like NTD TV, Epoch Times, anti-CCP TV. They're watching CCTV. But they don't interview me, of course. There are Chinese newspapers and those TV stations, they have no interest in me, okay? I'm the only one Chinese American who survived Mao is running for Congress right now. So anyway, but I also support free speech. When the Congress passed very rushly some kind of banning TikTok bill or whatever, I read the bill, I was scared. Oh, we are trying to get rid of TikTok, and same time, we're trying to give Biden and his attorney general more power to shut down the other potential apps. I don't like that. All you need is one sentence, couple of sentences, okay? Make a TikTok to divest or something, but same time, they're gonna give power to more our federal government. When I go to DC, I want to reduce our federal government power, size, and intrusiveness, and get back to the states. So, as I said, sometimes bill sounds good. Young kids, please read the bill, think for yourself, do your own research, instead of just buying the rhetorics and from those social media or politicians, because devils are in the details.
So on that specific bill, which you brought up, it does say that TikTok has to divest by a certain date, otherwise face a ban. Is that a bill that you support, or is that a bill that needs some changes?
That was a bad bill. I support the concept, the idea of get rid of Chinese CCP control apps who will track our citizens and influence our kids, and also even get our politicians to go there to do something, interfere with our elections. So, but the devil's in the details.
Sure.
That bill itself, it's not good enough for me to vote for it.
Okay.
Because that bill, I think, empower. How much do people today trust Biden's DOJ, Attorney General? Yeah, my opponent actually worked for all of them. I hope you check her out, what she did, and for them as a staff. I don't trust our federal government DOJ, Attorney General to decide, who I'm going to decide this app is a violator of that bill, that law. So, some people sometimes just have good intentions, but remember, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's what socialism is about, good intentions. Oh, you all have free stuff, free college, free health care. Then pretty soon, your freedom is gone. I don't want that. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. As we're moving into our final 10 minutes or so here, I want to turn to the border, as you mentioned earlier. Can you talk a little bit about what your vision for the U.S. border is? What are some of the solutions that you see moving forward?
I'm an legal immigrant. I love this country. And my message to the people who love America want to come here legally. Come here legally. We welcome you, work hard, and like me, and achieve your American dream. Anything is possible. But shut down our borders. We do not want to send a lawless message to the people in the world. Legal immigrants are waiting for 5, 10 years to come here legally. And illegals, come on, cross. We'll give you free housing, free health care, free travel. We even fly you in, and we even try to register you to vote. That's total chaos. That's make our crime is high, draining our community resources on the back of taxpayers, and who's going to pay for that? And also, I have a proposal to all the people who support, those illegal migrants. Become American sponsor for them, like I did for my brother. That means for the first 5 years, my brother and his wife and kid will never be eligible to apply for government assistance on the back of taxpayers. So they cannot become public burden. But my brother and his wife come here within 6 months, living with us, found a job, and making hamburgers and French fries for a shop, and stay for 2 years to move out our house. So if you want to become American sponsor, there's a good match. That means they live with you, and you pay for them, you open their house to show you true compassion. There's nothing wrong with that. Most people want to come here, living good life, but don't expect our border to be wide open, and don't expect we continue print money to pay for the stuff we cannot afford. Because young people who are still voting for Democrats, they cause all those people coming here, guess what? Inflation goes up, community resources goes down, your American dream is gone. So stop voting for your own oppression and for your own misery. Know the truth. Don't buy into the parties' narratives.
So when you say shut down the border, can you talk a little bit more about what that looks like, what policies need to be enacted, what systems need to be put in place?
We already have laws, Tim. We already have laws called the immigration laws. And there are laws on the books. We don't need any more laws. When they're trying to say, oh, let's pass this bill, billions of dollars, do we have enough laws already? Just get rid of Biden's executive orders on the border when he became president the first day. Reverse back to pre-Biden, Trump's border policies. And that way, if you do have a political asylum case, you want to come here legally, you go through the port of entry to apply for asylum. Right now, you don't know who is in, who is out. It's terrible for the women and children along the way to come here. And yet we are empower the drug traffickers, human traffickers, and the national security risk because you don't know who's coming. 350 tourists coming to this country. Where do they live now? How do we keep track of them? What if we have another horrible incident and terrorist attack on our own soil? We spend so much money overseas to protect our country's borders. How much do we spend to protect our own borders? The war was $5 billion. Pelosi, all the Democrats said, no, we're not going to give you money to build a $5 billion wall. That's racist. But look, how many billions we are actually spending on illegal immigrants in this country where our veterans, our homeless people cannot afford, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and some are homeless. Can we show more compassion to our own American citizens? And for the illegals, I have compassion too. Most of them do want to come here, live an American dream. Come here the right way and come here legally. We welcome you. We could even put some jobs, for example, that the Americans don't want to take, right? Like farm jobs, lots of other jobs, like even senior care. Like they cannot find the caretakers for the seniors on fixed income. Let's open up for people to apply. But as I said, Tim, there are 5 to 10 million legal immigrants are waiting in line with all their identifications, background checks, American sponsors. We do not streamline the process. Let those people come in first. Instead, Biden opened up to legal permits for all the people from other 4 countries, Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and come in, we'll give you a work permit. I always get very upset with that. My brother waited in China for 13 years. Should I just violate our law, fly him to Mexico, get him crossed, I go pick him up? But I say we are following our laws, and those legal immigrants get punished. So we're no longer a country of laws. And so we're no longer that exceptional country on the hill because we are a sovereign country. We need to enforce our laws. If we just empower our ICE agent, enforce the current immigration laws, reverse all the Biden's executive order, there are 90 of them on border, I think we'll be fine. Border will be secure, and the crime will go down, and the inflation will go down. Then we'll open up our jobs that Americans don't want to do to those people who want to come here legally. Problem solved. It's not that hard. Just don't play politics.
Okay, and you mentioned the border wall that President Trump had wanted to build. Obviously, there were still illegal immigrants coming across the border for many, many years. Do you support or do you think that a border wall is necessary? Do you think that is a good use of the United States' resources, or are there other activities that we could be doing on the border that you would be supportive of?
You know what? If we really enforce our laws on the books, follow steps, right? Mm-hmm. And also no welfare. If you come here illegally, no government does, no free stuff. Some people will self-deport, go back home. So I think if we really enforce our laws, let our border agent do their job, we might not even need that. Maybe certain areas need a little bit barriers, but you cannot do barriers everywhere. There's some places you cannot build, right? And there's also private property involved and all that. But I just see this dramatic increase of illegal immigration. And you cannot question it. You cannot challenge it. And you are racist if you disagree with them. I'm a legal immigrant, so when I get very upset with this border situation, at least nobody has called me racist yet. But I'm speaking for all the people who have been waiting in line to come to this country legally. And they are telling me on X, Lily, tell them, I'm still waiting 14 years later and still waiting in some little country in Europe and with American sponsors. So why do we need to punish those people? And why? What is the intention to open our border to the terrorists and to the drug cartels, to the human traffickers? There are lots of children disappeared on the process to this country. Where did they go? Where do they go? It's not just a national security risk. It's also a humanitarian crisis for women and children. And, we should just send a very clear message out to the people in the world. We welcome you. Come here legally, come here right way, and we're going to close our border. But if you do have a political asylum case, arrive, go through the legal entry, apply. That's the right place to start. Legal port of entry to apply. I'm a political refugee. Show all the papers. My friend went through that process. Show all the paperwork, all the articles he wrote in China. He was in prison, all that stuff. He got a political asylum really quick. No problem. But only 5% or less, those 10 million illegals coming here are eligible. And I went to the northern border. I think maybe I'm the only one went there, 3 hours from my house, and I saw how many people, that could easily just come in. There were markers for you to drop off the drugs. Homeowners are afraid to let their kids to camp in their front yards. Beautiful mountain. You saw Canada across river. And all those 19,000 illegals cross, higher percentage of terrorists, and they're not Canadians. They're from like 91 countries, speak different languages. When I was in Coburg, they even told me one guy from Venezuela got drunk in the bar and peed outside. And when they report to the border agent, guess what? You come back for political asylum case 3 to 6 years later. It's insanity. I think the granny staters don't want that. We don't want to become Massachusetts. We don't want to sanctuary cities. If you violate the law, then you should be deported. But right now under Biden, the ICE agents, their hands are tied. They cannot do much. And they have to say, okay, there's a 3-6 years later. Who is the idiot will show up 3-6 years later? Who knows where they will be, right? It's totally, just chaotic. But we do want to be compassionate. That's why I offer, hey, please become an American sponsor. People who support these policies, maybe there will be a good match somewhere,
Sure. On immigration court systems, Adam Cahoon, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Close enough. Okay, good. He would like to know, would your immigration policies include reform and improving the immigration court system? We know that the asylum process can take a very long time. Mm-hmm. We hosted a conversation with a Syrian who waited 10 years to get his case finally figured out.
I know, it is crazy, because my own brother waited 13 years. He could come here as a younger man, got a better job, learn English quicker, and my parents did not have to suffer that family separation for that long unnecessarily. So I think that we should look at our current legal immigration system. It's outdated. It's very outdated. It's insane. It's extremely long. It's inhuman. Just talk about that. To have a family waiting for years with sponsors. Then illegals come in, slap in your face. You idiot, you're still waiting. So let's do it. I think I can lead that effort in Congress when I get elected. Bring both sides, sit down together, do something good for the people, good for our country, also humane for the people who are waiting in line for a long time, and good for our economy, because we do need the workers. And some jobs that I don't know where Americans gone, young people are gone, there are lots of jobs vacant, and they cannot find the workers in our state even. So let's speed up the process. One organization even told me they have an idea. They've been offered this for a while to say, Asian countries, and we love seniors, we respect seniors. There are lots of seniors in our state cannot afford to hire anybody. But if they could come here as work visa and to become a caretaker, even have some basic skills like a trained or something, and speak English too, and maybe stay with them in their room. You have a full-time caregiver on work visa, It's very affordable. With the high inflation, nobody can afford to hire somebody outside your home right now. And nobody wants to take those jobs for $17 an hour or $19 an hour. So I'm totally open to that. And I was asking him, how's that going? Oh, still working on it, still working on it, after years and years. So that's what politicians do. They lie to you to get elected to Congress. They don't offer solutions. They don't get things done fast. I've been telling people, if you want to get something done in this country, get an Asian woman there. I get done very fast. I call them out. I bring people together. Doesn't matter which party. Let's work together. Good for our state and our country.
So I'm going to wrap up the conversation here tonight with what is a unique and very interesting question from an anonymous user. What is your greatest challenge as a Chinese-American politician in U.S. politics? And what advice would you give to Chinese students interested in getting involved in U.S. politics?
Please learn English. I'm still trying. I even took some online English coach classes, and especially in New Hampshire, I think that people tell me sometimes with my, I call it my Chinglish, my accent, they don't quite understand what I'm saying. But learn English and learn the culture and learn about our political system and really study Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and learn about your state laws. Then get involved, start small. Well, if you are young especially, start at the grassroots level. You know, I'm a founder of New Hampshire Asian American Coalition. I really need help, okay? Because when I'm busy, that organization is not doing much. If you get involved, and then we get our people united. It's not partisan, it's civics and social, and we're against discrimination. So it doesn't matter who is your member get discriminated or reverse discrimination. You stand up for each other, you advocate for their rights. It's gone. I did that one time. I just make one phone call, problem solved immediately. My friend was super happy because he couldn't even speak English very well, you know. So get passionate about something, and a nonprofit, you have a cause, you want to help kids, you want to help the homeless, and start small and learn. And plus, you should be like me and check out, oh, there's different parties. Which party should I join? When I become American citizen, I actually had to read the Democrat Party platform and Republican platform, and later Libertarian platform. So you read all the platforms, then you judge yourself. Which one that represent your values you want to get involved? How effective do you want to be? And why do you go to get involved in politics? Do you care about country? Do you want to serve the people? Do you want to make a difference in the world? And I hope I can be inspirational role model for lots and lots of immigrants, like even first generation Chinese Americans, and then get involved. This is our new country. And if we lose this country, people like us really have no place to go. Who wants to go back to China, one-party dictatorship? You cannot vote. You cannot run for office. So get involved. And of course, if you become richer, that will help. If you run for office, you have to worry about paying bills and worry about paycheck to paycheck. It's not going to work out. So we have free market, free enterprise country, get rich. That's my other.
All right. Well, please join me in thanking Lily for her time and her insights.
Thank you.
And Mike right there.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Oh, we're going to take questions?
No.
Thank you,
Michelle's just going to
Lily
close us out
Tang
here.
Williams, for your sharing your positions, your forthrightness, your passion. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you to all of you for coming tonight and being present in the audience and asking your questions. On behalf of the World Affairs Council, the Warren Rudman Center for Justice, Leadership, and Public Service, and the Carsey School of Public Policy at UNH. Thank you for being here. We welcome all of you who are in the room to please come down and visit, spend more time with Lily Tang Williams in the rotunda. Is that what we call it? Does it have a, in the lobby area? Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. Now, thank you, Tim, for inviting me.